time to give your opinion on the Bills and the NFL. Let's talk football live. Now, here's the 13 Wham Sports Team.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to Let's Talk Football Live, presented by our good friends at Connors and Ferris. Mike Catalana, along with Dan Fates. Jenna Cottrell joins us remotely tonight as we get set to talk about the Bills coming back. Did you guys enjoy the bye week?
Yeah. I mean, it's weird not having a Sunday without the Bills, that's for sure.
Jenna, you, bye week, was it good?
I mean, I was still working. Mike, I think maybe you had off, but we were so hard at work out there. No, it was nice to have a little Sunday relief.
Yeah, I missed a game. I mean, they were coming off that Cardinals game, which we know was just a brutal way to lose, and you have to live through that. But I think for this team, it came at a great time.
It was
this
late.
Time of the year.
Yeah, and it was late, and I think for the Bills to readjust, we've talked about the fact that they're 7-3, and there's reason to be pleased with being 7-3, but there are still some issues here that if this team really wants to make that deep run, like we've talked about last week during the bye week, possibly being AFC championship bound, they need to get some things straightened out.
All right, if you're watching us on Facebook, we're going to monitor your comments there. We'll be reading those on the air or on the Buffalo Plus YouTube page. You got to check out that page, like and subscribe. Plenty of great Bills content there all the time. Look, we're going to be positive about this team because they deserve positivity. But there's something else going on as this team comes back from the bye, and it involves Mitch Morse and the offense. Look, the team's out there. You got Josh Allen, you got Stefon Diggs, you got Cole Beasley, you got all these guys. John Feliciano's back. Look, the offense can pile up points. But it's a bit surprising that Mitch Morse appears to no longer be the starting center on this team. Dan, any idea what's going on? I'm calling it the Mitch Morse Mystery because he's active, he's practicing, but he's not out there.
Yeah, and this was a guy that was part of this rebuild of taking this team from, I don't know, middle of the road to really thinking that this is a team that he was a piece to kind of rebuild and revamp this offensive line, give Josh Allen help, and kind of break down all those things, be a leader on this young offensive line that was really bad. Remember when Nathan Peterman was starting, and all of a sudden, he's kind of nowhere to be found. He had a concussion. He has had 2 concussions in just his short time in Buffalo. But they made him the highest paid center in the league 2 years ago with his contract. And, Jenna, they have kind of, I don't know, has Sean McDermott blown this out of proportion, or has he mishandled this situation? Because apparently he's not starting anymore.
It's interesting because he's had so many opportunities to clarify what is going on, and he's skirted around and been elusive about every single one of them. And because of that, it just makes it such an interesting part of, okay, what is going on behind the scenes? Because clearly it's something. Look, we've seen Sean McDermott kind of be a little elusive before, but this is now gone on. It was before the bye week, now after the bye week. It's something that's certainly interesting. But, I mean, he's an oppressive guy. We've seen what he's been able to do. He's been a part of Buffalo's success last year. You, again, like Dan said, you've made him the highest paid center in the league coming out of last year. And it's a guy that is important to your offensive line. Like, they've had injuries all across the line. It was looking like the Bills would get all 5 starters back for this week in particular. So it's interesting knowing that, okay, is that not going to be the case, even though he could be and is available to play?
Yeah, that is the key part, right? Because we've seen these circumstances before where a player is inactive or they're on the injury list or whatever. That's not the case. But today, Sean McDermott was asked about it again. Like, what's the situation and how is Mitch handling this role?
Yeah, he's done a great job, man. Mitch is mentally tough. He's physically tough, and he's done a great job. And you know, I just really appreciate his putting the team first, and he hasn't blinked. He's done a great job.
He never complains. He just kind of puts his head down and does his job. And funny, and we got our own handshakes and this and that. So you know, I trust him when he's on the field. He trusts me.
And all that's great.
They sound like he's a guy that has retired or has been traded or that is no longer with the team. They're talking about him like he's in the past tense.
Yeah, it's an odd circumstance. Now, again, they're trying to be, you know, positive. I would say this, if he's not playing, if he was inactive for games, I think it would be a different circumstance. Now, we're going to see what happens for Sunday, but he's out there practicing. He's not on the injured list. You know, he has dealt, Jenna, with 5 concussions in his career. And he went through, you remember a training camp last year was a long stretch before he came back. And, you know, I think sometimes there's a tendency as media or even as fans. You'd be like, oh, the guy's got a concussion. He's in protocol. When's he getting out, getting back on the field? The only reason you would say it about him is because not everybody comes back from that in the same way, I think, even if you're cleared out of protocol.
Absolutely. And that's something that has to be considered as well. Just because he cleared protocol, how is he feeling? Is he able to take on those responsibilities of starting, of playing that many reps? And it's his 5th concussion. He is a new father. There's a lot of things that play behind the scenes. And that's what makes this situation something to monitor, especially for Bills fans, too, as they look and say, this is a guy that the Bills played a lot of money to, and a guy that you're expecting to have all those starting snaps. John Feliciano's done a great job kind of filling in there. But when you want to have Feliciano as well as Mitch Morse out there. But, Dan, you brought up the point earlier in the week of, could this be a possibility where maybe the Bills or maybe Mitch decided, hey, you know what? I've had my 5th concussion. Maybe it's time to retire. Because do you see that? Maybe something like that happening?
I don't know. It just seems weird because then why wouldn't you just keep him inactive? Like that's what I don't understand is that all of the points that we have made about maybe he wasn't 100% back or maybe this or maybe that or they need to ease him back in. All of those things, Mike, could have been easily answered by Sean McDermott by saying, you know what, he's just not ready yet, or you know what, we're taking some extra time, or you know, heading into the bye week, or he's working his way back. You could have said all of those things. They have talked about him, especially today, like he has lost his job, but he's a really good cheerleader. That was the tone that I'm hearing. You know, Josh Allen, we still have a handshake, so we're still cool.
And the thing about it is, you know, roster spots are certainly important, but this is a year where you could maintain a guy on the roster. You have much more fluidity in the roster, bring them back and forth. But you're talking about players being active on game day. And normally a team only activates 7 offensive linemen, a couple of spare offensive linemen. Maybe this year you can have another extra lineman, but is he, you know, active? Is he ready to play? And my thought would be, you know, maybe we're all just dumb. Maybe we don't realize, because we all thought Quentin Spain should have been a starter. And then all of a sudden,
it's not the first time I would have been called that.
Well, but I'm saying is in this case, you know, there is a money issue here, and it is a leader of the team, and it's a guy they brought in. So to just designate him as an inactive backup is an odd thing. But maybe we'll get clarity in this in another week or two. Maybe it is the type of thing that we'll eventually see.
He starts Sunday at center, and this whole thing is up. We have wasted breath for the last 2 weeks.
Right. And we've done that before,
too. Is there a situation? Yeah. We're used to that here. No, but isn't there a situation, too, where Sean McDermott, we know he loves his little gamesmanship. Is this something where he has the ability to be a guy that's not saying what the other team wants and having that surprise on game day?
I guess.
I mean, I feel like.
Right. You could throw that out there.
Is it that simple? Are we complicating it?
No. I don't know if you do that.
I just feel like it's like when my mom tells me to do chores. And it's like, oh yeah, no, it's done. We're good. Yeah. And
was
it's like,
that
I haven't
today?
done anything. But, you know.
Was that today that she asked?
That was today, yeah.
No, but I don't think.
Speaking from experience, yeah.
Jenna, I don't think you do that with the center.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
I agree.
I think I just don't. I don't think it changes game plans. I'm just surprised. You know, inactive.
I agree, too.
Inactive, I would get. Yeah. Active and not starting, you know, unless for some reason they believe his play really trailed off.
I'm not an all-22 guy. I just haven't seen that.
Yeah.
You don't need to be an all-22 guy, Mike.
Yeah, I agree.
To realize that Stefon Diggs, he's been really good this year as we head into Thanksgiving tomorrow. Stefon Diggs, the Bills very thankful to have Stefon Diggs. So is Josh Allen. Stefon Diggs is second in the league in receptions. He is second in the league in receiving yards. He has been everything that the Bills could have hoped for and more. And today he was talking to the media, and he's just happy. While the Bills are happy to have him, he's happy to be in Buffalo.
It's crazy because my coach came up to me today, our online coach. He was just like, "How are you?" And I was like, "I'm happy." And I said it with a smile just because, you know, I've been busting my ass for a long time as far as like with my craft and with my grind, but mentally being in the right place and pushing in the right direction. I've always been trying to be that guy, trying to have positive energy. And I'm just happy to be where I am. I'm happy with the guys that I'm around, and I'm thankful. I would say more than anything, I'm thankful. I'm thankful to be here.
Can we say enough about him?
Here's what we can say about him.
I was to say.
It reminds me a lot of Kelvin Benjamin joining the Bills.
In the exact opposite
In the
way.
exact opposite way.
Well done. Jenna, your thoughts?
Truly.
Well, I mean,
I
yes.
could not agree more.
And the funny thing is, Kelvin Benjamin never had like a bad reputation. It was just that he might have put on weight and there were things about it, but they knew him and they brought him in. And he was terrible. And he wasn't a good teammate. You bring in Stefon Diggs, who challenges you if you say, well, you complained in Minnesota. He's like, tell me when I said that.
Yeah.
And now you look, the Vikings still have great wide receivers. They drafted Jefferson, who's been really good. They had Thielen, but this guy is a special player. Second in the league in catches, second in the league in yards, makes all the big plays, should have been coming off a game-winning play in the last game, and he loves Buffalo.
Yeah. And to me, I always think about it in the sense of kind of make a comparison to the MLB. All-stars make everybody else in baseball, makes the players around them better. Stefon Diggs has made this entire offense better. He has changed their dynamic. He has changed the way that teams, opposing defenses, have to face and prepare for the Bills. He's made Josh Allen better because Josh Allen has grown exponentially in his man coverage. Last year, that was the thing. When the Patriots and other teams would go man coverage, he couldn't move the ball down the field. Now, you can't allow Stefon Diggs to be covered one-on-one.
Sounds like an all-22 guy to me. Is that it, Jenna? What do you think?
Yeah. Dan, look at you dabbling there. No, but I couldn't agree more. We knew that the Bills were getting a very talented player when Diggs was traded to Buffalo, of course, but I feel like he's exceeded everyone's expectations. There was a little hesitation. Is he a diva? How has that played out? But, I mean, what he does on the field is impressive. But just to see, like you guys said, the leadership standpoint of this, they had a weird offseason. They didn't really get to know the guys. It wasn't a lot of time to meet face to face, and we know how important that is on a football field. But Stefon Diggs has been seamless in his transition into Buffalo. And I think that's something that we've seen, like you mentioned, the Kelvin Benjamin, Mike. We've seen where the Bills have tried to trade or tried to add pieces, and it just doesn't work. For whatever, well, we know what reasons it was Kelvin Benjamin. But when you see a guy that has the potential and the abilities that he does. And even today, we were listening to his press conference. He's closing in terms of leading the Bills in terms of franchise records in both catches as well as receiving yards. And he says it's not about the individual accolades, because he says what chases him and what drives him is greatness. And he wants that greatness for everyone else. And while, yes, it is nice to have that recognition and to set records, you actually believe him when he says the individual success will come if everyone's able to eat. And I think that's huge. And he's a star guy, and he loves Buffalo.
Yeah.
That is huge for the national reputation of this team and other players who are interested and thinking, yeah, maybe Buffalo now.
Yeah, I agree. And I think we talked about who he's helped. I think he's certainly obviously helped Josh Allen. And I think he's helped Cole Beasley, and Cole Beasley has helped him.
Yeah.
Because
Absolutely.
they're a good combination. If John Brown could stay healthy and be on the field, then the Bills are right up there with the best wide receiver groups in the league. I mean, there's some really, Pittsburgh's really good. I mean, there's some, even the Raiders wide receivers. Obviously the Chiefs, weapons-wise. But if John Brown's healthy, I think the Bills are right up there near the top.
Absolutely. And I think we don't talk enough maybe about the DNA of Stefon Diggs. Went to Maryland, not a massive football school. They're probably known as a basketball school more than they are a football school, and was a fifth-round pick. All these, you think divas, you think, I don't know, Antonio Brown.
Yeah, but Antonio Brown should have been that because he was a sixth-round pick.
And he was a hardworking, under-the-road guy.
And then he became that guy.
Yeah, so it just kind of, he seems to fit this culture that, whatever it is. And like you said, he doesn't take, it's almost the passive-aggressive comments towards Minnesota being like, I'm happy. Like, I've really been working hard to get here and to get all these accolades. And him and Josh have really hit it off. And I think this is the one thing, first time Josh has really had a weapon, because Kelvin didn't pan out.
But he did, he did have John Brown. He did have Cole Beasley. And to Jenna's point, he's made that offense so much more dynamic. So it is good to see. Now that is the passing game.
Take it away, Mike.
All right. So if you follow us, you know that many times we talk about the Bills' lack of the ability to run the ball.
That is correct.
Right. And which rivals their lack of ability to stop the run.
That is true.
Now, Dan is a believer that you should throw a pass on every down.
That is correct.
Right. And we believe, I think Jenna's with me, that you need to have some form of a running game. But I think we would all agree that at some point this defense better figure out a way to stop the run, because they could be playing some teams in the playoffs that will keep Josh Allen off the field and pound the Bills physically with the run game. I mean, we saw New England do that to them. And that's not a very good football team, and they were able to do it. The Chiefs did it to them. And then they could pick their spots. So we put out a poll today. And the poll was, we talked about the show itself. And here's the poll. What is more important to improve for the playoffs? And tell us why. The run offense or the run defense? And I think the people who voted in the poll, and there was a lot of them, the majority of people say the run defense. And I think I would agree with that. I would agree the run defense. Now, the idea is you've got to get better at both things. But which one is more important? Do you agree with the fans who say the run defense? I think I know this answer.
Yes, I think that was a layup to me, Mike. Yeah, I think that because we've talked about it before, not being able to stop the run has been demoralizing at times for this defense. Of just constantly seeing 8 yards a pop, 6 yards a pop, 10 yards a pop, just big lanes that Mike could run through. So like that has been kind of an issue. Like a Frank Gore, Frank Gore could run.
The old guy,
and he did. He had a 13-yard run in the second half against in the Jets game.
Right.
And that was all the offense they had. But that has been kind of tough. And again, because teams, like you said, Mike, can kind of go at him because especially with how good the secondary can be when fully healthy. I think the secondary with Trey White, with Micah Hyde, with Jordan Poyer can contain quarterbacks throwing the ball. So teams are going to go at them with, we've seen struggles up the middle. We've seen Tremaine Edmonds struggle, things like that.
Oh. Look at the last game itself, right? I mean, obviously, Kyler Murray was still making plays.
Right.
Yeah.
And I'm not even talking about Kyler Murray with his legs.
Right.
Because that's an exception. I'm talking about they just pounded the Bills with the regular running game.
Chase Edmonds and
Yeah. And they
Drake,
they went for over 200 yards rushing. And Jenna, now, when we say that, how about offensively? Now, even if fans choose, and we all agree in the poll, maybe the defense is more important, they do need to run the ball better than they are.
Yeah, absolutely. Because once again, we come back to the point, Mike, I know we're in agreement with this, is just it's nice to have a two-dimensional offense. I think the Bills should have the ball move through Josh Allen's arm, but we've seen moments, and even in that third quarter of the Cardinals game and games before, where Josh really struggles to pass for whatever reason. The Bills struggle to move the ball down the field, and they need to have the ability to really figure out. Like we've seen Devin Singletary have those flashes. Zach Moss has been able to put some nice runs together, but something is not working. And talking, Brian Dable with the bye week, he talked about how they did some research. They looked at things. But Dan, I mean, there comes a point when you want to see Josh Allen throw, but you don't want to put all that pressure on him and have that be the only option.
He's still not going to go for this.
Shelly, you can't see me, but I'm smirking. Yeah, I want all the pressure on Josh Allen. I think that's where this team goes.
Okay, but hold on. I put out some stats this week about Super Bowl winners.
So you have.
And touchdowns in the red zone. Most of them were red zone touchdowns. There was a few longer ones. And the Bills aren't even close to any of those teams. And these are teams that could throw the football. I mean, they all could throw it. I think that Broncos team that won, because Manning was on his last legs, that was the one 5 years back, was a little more of a mix. But the Patriots still threw the ball extremely well, yet they ran it down people's throat. Kansas City still ran the ball effectively and scored touchdowns. And it's not the quarterback scoring. And even that Eagles team that had Wentz and Foles at the time and was more of a throwing team, they pounded teams with the run at times and scored touchdowns that way. The Bills' numbers for the running backs are absurdly low.
Yep.
If you take Josh Allen out of the mix, they're not even halfway to what most of those teams did to win a Super Bowl.
Yeah, this week will be the test. If they can't run the ball coming out of this week, just throw it 56 times. Because we've talked about this deep dive that they're going to do in this running game. And like I said, having this late bye has hurt. They thought they were going to get a mini bye on a Thursday night game. They didn't get it. So they went 10 weeks straight without really trying to figure out, and like I said, we've talked about already piecing this offensive line together. I expect Brian Dable to have some kind of wrinkle to come out of here because at times their best rusher is Josh Allen or maybe Isaiah McKenzie. That is how poor they have run the ball at times. And it's been demoralizing. Whereas I've talked about how it's demoralizing when you can't stop the run. to see them just run into a wall.
Yeah.
And it's not like Devin Singletary or Zach Moss are missing holes. There's just nothing there.
Yeah.
So to me, it's kind of trying to fit that square peg into a round hole, and you're hitting your head against the wall.
Right, because you're going on a drive and it's 2nd and 9.
Yeah.
Or 2nd and 11. It's bad. You know, we did the poll. We also asked for a few comments, too. So let's run a couple of the comments that we got today from the poll. Mike Vidala. I'm in for all 50-50. Is that okay? Yeah, Mike, I think it's okay.
I think everybody wants
half,
that.
You know, improving into both. Yeah, I think that's you know, it's kind of good. You may stress one over the other, but they do need to improve both.
Well, and to me, specifically in the playoffs, if the Bills are trailing, to get that stop. Like, I just looked at it. You saw that crazy Green Bay Indy game where they had all the holding penalties,
right,
and Green Bay got the ball 3 more times at the end of the game, because you don't want teams to have that 4-minute offense against you to run out so much clock. So for you to get those stops is huge in those games.
Yeah, and you look at the teams they could match up with in the playoffs.
Yep.
Baltimore can run it. Pittsburgh can run it.
Baltimore can't throw it.
Mm-hmm.
But they can run it. So if you're behind, they will pound you on the ground game. Even the Raiders can run it. The Raiders have a good mix of the pass and the run, and they have Jacobs. And again, this is a
and they
player
did
we've
it
seen
against
before.
Buffalo.
You know, so you start to wonder. You say, do we need to be able to stop the run? I mean, we saw Kansas City can do it when they need to. The thing that scared me about playing Kansas City is, like I said, that game they ran it down the Bills' throat, and they threw it when they needed to.
Yeah.
And I think the Bills sort of pretended like they shut down the passing game, Jenna. I didn't think they shut down the passing game. I think Kansas City just ran it on them.
Jack Finley also having a comment here on the Facebook page. I'm sorry, Jenna, just real quick. Donnell Evans saying that the run defense has to improve. Jack Finley bringing a suggestion, a fullback. Mike, what about Pat DeMarco?
Oh, yeah.
Remember your...
Maybe that's it.
Maybe that's where the running game went. The running game starts and stops with Pat DeMarco.
Well, they did find ways to get him 50 yards downfield in the playoff game last year and throw the ball up.
Double coverage.
Michael?
Well, it did happen.
Double coverage?
Double covered DeMarco. He was open.
It did.
Janet,
I don't think the Bills want to talk about.
Okay, you were coming up with a comment.
No, I was going to say, you bring up, that Chiefs game, Sean McDermott said after the game, you know, we had to contain them basically somehow. They didn't contain the run at all. The Chiefs didn't need to throw it. That's what is the most interesting and scary part, I think, is you know the type of player that Patrick Mahomes is. And that wasn't what killed them in that game. It was the run game. And that is such a huge issue to address, because it didn't even matter that it was Patrick Mahomes out there, because the run, they were just running over them. And that's something, you mentioned the Eagles. Like, this is something that we've seen from a Sean McDermott team in these last couple of years. I think of the Eagles game a couple years ago. I think of other games, and I'm like, this is something that's not new, although it seems to be something that's gotten worse. But it's something that, what can they do? Because it's been happening now for a couple years. It's not like just this year it's been a struggle.
Well, it is to stop the run, and I don't know if they're a physical enough team. And they are. You know, their offensive line maybe is built more to be I guess, a finesse line.
I don't know.
They're not, you know, their defensive line, they're not, I don't think they're equipped. I think if the team really wants to pound them defensively for their defense, I think the Bills are going to have a tough time stopping.
There's no Kyle Williams. There's no big guy. There's no Star Latulele to clog up that middle.
There's no Lorenzo Alexander either.
And Ed Oliver has been, you know, probably one of the
integrity.
one of the bigger disappointments this season. So there are, you know, reasons, but Jenna makes a good point that there were times last year that this team, they would bend but not break kind of thing, which is the key buzzword along with gap integrity. There was another comment too, Mike.
Yes, we have another comment from our poll. This came from Dana Skinner. How about the defense in general? Yeah, I will say I've been slightly encouraged by some of the things the defense has done, because they've taken the ball away a few times.
I agree.
And I think they've been more aggressive. And Leslie Frazier kept getting asked about that.
Yeah.
Even Sean McDermott was. And I think that's got to be more of a mindset with this type of defense. I think you have to be more aggressive. I think you have to attack more, because teams can just push the ball down the field on you.
And I think you also need a little bit of context where this defense has struggled. But the last few weeks, I mean, they haven't had necessarily a cupcake of a schedule.
Right.
They have played 2 out of the top 4 offenses the last 2 weeks with Arizona, who's now #1 in yards per game, and Seattle. And I thought the Bills held their own. They won one of the games. They should have won the other. But the test doesn't get any easier with the Chargers coming in this week, who are second in the league with over 400 yards of offense per game.
Yeah, they're behind in every game. They throw it. They do have a lot of talent on
Tons
that
of talent.
team.
Yeah.
I mean, you look at it, and it looks like Eckler's going to be back, right? Did I read that?
He practiced today. They're optimistic that he will be there on Sunday.
Yeah. So, I mean, when you look at this Chargers team, you know, they've got the rookie quarterback, and I got to tell you, he's likely the rookie of the year, right?
Yes,
I mean,
especially with Burrow going down.
Burrow out, and they've got talent around him.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, you look at their wide receivers. You start to wonder, like, why hasn't this team won more?
They have found amazing ways to lose. They are incredible. We used to think it was just Phillip Rivers. Justin Herbert has inherited the ghost of Phillip Rivers at finding weird ways to lose games.
Because now Phillip Rivers with the Colts, and they're finding ways to win.
Yeah, unbelievable. Justin Herbert is on pace to set rookie completion record, rookie passing yard record, and rookie touchdown passing record.
And Jenna, he's also on pace to have the worst haircut by a player in midseason.
I mean, I think he's won that race. I don't think there's any question about it.
It's a runaway.
Yeah, the Clippers look is a bad look. I was going to say, he runs away with that one. But he has been so impressive. And I don't know if we really expected to see that. He was a guy that obviously coming out, we thought he was going to come out before, then waited. But he has definitely been the bright spot, or one of the bright spots on that team. And it's so interesting. Looking at the Chargers record, they're 3-6.
3-7.
It's like, it doesn't make sense, the talent. 3-7. It doesn't make sense the talent they have on some parts of their roster, and seeing those results, you know they're a team that has the ability to put together, but they've had some chargery losses in there as well.
Chargery, that's good. Let's go to our UR Medicine, Sports Medicine injury update for this week. And the Bills actually, you know, coming off the bye week, they are getting healthier. I think the guy everybody's keeping an eye on this week would be John Brown. If you look, he did not practice with the ankle. Now, they've done that on Wednesdays with him with all of his different injuries. Mario Addison, which, you know, obviously I can relate to this. He's getting a veteran rest day. Cody Ford's been limited. That's been pretty common. We know Jake Fromm is in a secure bunker location. No one's really sure where that is. Jerry Hughes limited, but that's fine. I think he'll be fine. And, you know, you get special teams guys back. And Josh Norman, back full, coming off the COVID list. So I think that's going to help, because you need as many corners as you can get out on the field. So they're healthy coming into this game. I think to Jenna's point about the record of the Chargers, we just saw it happen with the Dolphins. Right? Now, the plus for the Bills is they're at home for this week. But this team better be ready.
It's been great. I think every Zoom call, Sean McDermott's been asked about it. Cole Beasley had a couple great answers. You asked Cole Beasley about this yesterday.
Yeah.
And I asked Micah Hyde about it. You know, at what point do you learn not to look at the record?
Yeah.
And Micah Hyde said, like, records don't mean anything. And Cole Beasley kind of echoed the same sentiment.
Right, because you think of the circumstances, right? Yes, this team is 3-7.
Right.
So you could say, well, what do they have to play for? Well, in and of itself, that's a dumb comment.
Right.
Because individually, those players have a ton to play for. The head coach is trying to keep his job.
Yep.
They're all trying to keep their jobs. And you might argue, well, Justin Herbert is just, you know, he's a rookie. Yeah, okay. But he's trying to keep pieces around him. He's trying to show he can do that for a whole season. He's not going out there going, what difference does it make if we go 3-8? If you're the kind of player that's doing that, now it's funny, even Micah Hyde said, if you get to week 16 or 17 and everything's done and everybody's going out the door, there's times maybe where players are just looking like, get me healthy to the offseason.
It's the week 17, don't get injured because you want to go on vacation.
Right. But that's not right now. And this team's going to go out there. I mean, you saw the way Denver played last week. I mean, Drew Lock got himself back on the field when he was all banged up last week. So I think it's definitely something to be worried about. Our sponsor every week is Greg Connors from Connors and Ferris. And so we got in touch with him today to get his thoughts on this game and what the Bills need to do. Plus, we get a prediction. Here it is.
They've got to just get in and they've got to show them that they're the better team early, and then just kind of let things happen. Let things happen in terms of, you know, They're 3-7. They come in. It's in a cold. They travel to the East Coast. They can beat them down a little bit. And if they can get out to that quick, aggressive start, I think it'll go a long way to how strong they can finish the game. I'm going with the blowout side of things. So I'm thinking Bills 35 and the Chargers 13.
Wow. Greg's confident. First of all, we haven't had many of those games, have we?
No.
I mean, really, honestly,
No,
outside of
no.
the first Jets game, I'm trying to think of a game. Has there been a game where you've, because the Dolphins came back? Like, I don't think there's been
Yeah,
a
they
game
came
where it's
back.
gotten pretty lax late in the game. It's always close.
Yeah.
It's always something.
There was one. It was the Titans game.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that one, yes.
But it's not the way Bills fans wanted.
No, not at all. All right. It's time for us to pick the game. And look, I'll go first, mainly because I'm in first place. I don't really like to brag about it. I tried to stay away from bragging last week because I know it was a painful loss for the Bills or from 2 weeks ago, but I was right. So let's look at this week's pick. And I've got the Bills winning at 31-23. It's fun to pick the Bills to score 30 points every week because it seems like they do. I think the Chargers will put up some points. I think their offense is good. But I think that this is the type of game I think the Bills are in control most of the way. It's back and forth a little bit. I'd like to see them get some turnovers this week defensively, which would be important. But I think the Bills win a somewhat comfortable 8-point win. And I believe in Dan's mindset, that's a cover.
That's a cover. That's a cover. The Bills are 5.5-point favorites. If Mike's at the top of the standings for these picks,
Yeah.
the opposite of that is where I am in the picks. And look, this is a game where I feel like the Bills should score again. I'm with Mike here. I think this game, the Bills score again in the 30s. I think their offense is clicking. The Chargers, just not exactly there yet on defense. Also really weird, the Chargers have had 3 punts blocked in their last 5 games. Anthony Lynn has demoted the special teams coordinator and has promoted somebody else up. 3 punts blocked in 5 weeks. That's JV football. I mean,
Yeah.
that is very confusing. I think the Bills score enough to win this game. I don't see them covering, Mike. This is another kind of confusing game. I think Herbert is going to put on a show. I think the Bills have another tough test. This will be their 3rd team that they're playing that is in the top 4 of offensive with yards per game. Bills win, maybe uncomfortable.
Jenna, what do you got for us?
Wow. I don't have that. I have this game, the Bills winning it 27-17. I can never remember the score I picked, but I have the Bills winning it. I just think that while Justin Herbert has been having a phenomenal season and the Chargers offense has plenty of weapons to get the ball out there, I just think the fact that the Bills corners will be coming back. You have Josh Norman, who's going to be healthy as you hoped for. The Bills are coming off the bye. If they would have lost or won that game against Arizona, I feel like this team would have a different vibe to them. But they're coming off that tough loss. They had the week off. The game is at home. I just believe that the Bills they're really zeroing in now. It's the final 6 games of the season. And also it's the Chargers. The Chargers are going to Chargers. They almost lost to the Jets. It was a weird game last week. They love playing in weird games. But because of that, I have this Bills team winning. I think the Bills are the more talented team. And this is the part of the season where you have to start being able to show a dominant performance as you head into December and thereafter.
All right, let's recap our picks here. So I have the Bills covering. Jenna has them covering. Dan has it in a closer game. We'll see who's right. By the way, I'm going to spring one other thing on you, too, so we didn't get a chance to talk about this beforehand. But since everybody loves talking about this, how many points, I'll start with you, Jenna, how many points do the Bills get outscored by in the 3rd quarter? What do you got?
Ooh, man.
I'm just
It's been a
assuming they
rough
get
go
outscored, right?
for the Bills in the 3rd quarter. Yeah, I mean, 10. Hopefully
Wow.
it's low.
Okay.
But it's not been a good showing.
Dan, what do you got?
Yeah, they probably get outscored. Wouldn't it be something if they outscored? What if they trailed the whole first half? What if they come out slow after the bye week, the Chargers come out hot, and the 3rd quarter is the turnaround in this game? It won't be.
Right.
But it would be interesting. I say they get outscored by double digits. Yeah, they probably get outscored by double digits again. And we will again ask Sean McDermott after the game what is going wrong with the 3rd quarter, and he will say they will look into it.
They'll look into it, right. And then, but it was good they had a good 4th. I'm going to say it's an even 3rd quarter, and the Bills chalk it up as a win. 7-7, 3rd quarter.
All right.
Now sad.
I will say,
Wow.
this Chargers
okay.
offense is good. Jenna's being very confident with 17 points they're only allowing. Look, this Chargers team, I know they play out in the West Coast. We really don't see them all that much and all those things. Keenan Allen is probably the equivalent of John Brown as how good he is. The Bills talk about all the time how underrated and underappreciated John Brown is. Keenan Allen's probably a top 10, borderline top 5 wide receiver when healthy. I've been waiting for Justin Herbert. I've been betting against him, waiting to see this rookie regression. Doesn't seem to have one anytime soon. Very polished, not a rookie quarterback. If the Chargers don't shoot themselves in the foot, which they are very good at doing, this will be a close game.
And Keenan Allen is #1 in the league in receptions. So just ahead of Stefon Diggs, which is pretty interesting to see. All
Tyrod
right.
Taylor could have been starting this game. If he
A little
wouldn't have been
tidbit, too.
stabbed in the lung.
By his own team doctor. I mean, I feel badly for Tyrod. You know,
Terrifying.
yes. But if you think about it, these two quarterbacks are playing, and they both replaced him.
Wow.
Right. I mean, he's just that guy. Hey, God
Josh
bless him.
Allen's first. Josh Allen's first start. Josh Allen's first start
Was
was
a
against
loss
the
to
Chargers.
the Chargers, yes.
That was when Vontae Davis retired at half.
That's right. All right, I'm going to assume no one retires at halftime this year.
What is the line? What are the odds? Minus 1,000.
Next week, we are going to have a conversation. We're going to say, if a Bills player was going to retire at halftime,
That is great.
who would it be? That we'll see. All right, check out Buffalo Plus. That is your place for coverage 24/7. The YouTube page is going gangbusters. We love putting content up there all the time. Check out Buffalo Plus YouTube page. That includes our podcast. Plus, you can get our podcast, iTunes, Stitcher, every other place, iHeartRadio, everywhere that has that. And that's what we're going to do. We'll be up. I'll be up at the game Sunday. We'll have complete coverage of what's going on as the Bills take on the Chargers. Enjoy football tomorrow. Happy Thanksgiving to everybody. Enjoy your day. Be safe. Be smart. Have fun with whatever family is around you. Jenna, tell your parents and your family we said Happy Thanksgiving.
Hey, Ben.
Does he didn't want to make an appearance in the show?
Happy Thanksgiving, guys.
Yeah, same to you, and we'll continue our coverage.
Nope.
Enjoy your Thanksgiving, and we will see you next week. We are back on a regular Thursday night, and then we got some special things coming up beyond that. Wait a minute, no.
It was Thursday.
Next week, because we got we have the Monday night game.
Are they Monday night next week? We should know this.
Right, because we're coming off.
The Niners.
Yeah, I take that back.
It's the Niners, yeah.
So I take that back. Look at this. Thanksgiving's got me all messed up. We will be back a week from Monday, 7:30 to 8, leading right into Monday Night Football, the Bills in San Francisco.
Good catch.
It's a good thing because we're all supposed to be there for that.
I am thankful that Mike Catalana is my boss.
God, you know how many people have said that? Anyhow, for Jenna Cottrell and Dan Fates, I'm Mike Catalana. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time on Let's Talk Football Live.